Hi. So I remember in the year 2016, the biggest thing, the biggest thing on YouTube, the biggest thing on mostly YouTube, honestly, because TikTok was really a thing in 2016. But the biggest thing I feel like was conspiracy theories. Like, that was so big. It freaking took over the freaking goddamn world. I remember conspiracy theories being talked about at school, it was being talked about everywhere. I remember that was the start of the Mandela effects as well. And I think the person who started this whole thing was Mr. Shane Dawson. And I'm not gonna get into him because, we most of us probably know all the controversies that have been going on with him in the past 4 years. The controversy is kind of evened out now because I don't know. I guess the world has forgiven him for the most part for what he'd done in the past. But here's a few things he's done in case you're curious. There's so much videos on it. But this video is not about him. He is just the one who kind of got me into conspiracy theories, and he probably got a bunch of people into conspiracy theories. And honestly, it's 2023 right now, and I'm still a huge conspiracy theorist. Not the kind where I avidly can make up really interesting conspiracy theories, but I'm the one who is really interested in conspiracy theories. Because think what you want about Shane Dawson. I hate to admit this, but I do watch his new podcast that he does on, the Shane Dawson podcast, where he does with his fiance, brother, cameraman. I enjoy the podcast. I like podcasts that don't actually talk about real events going on in the world right now, which I know that's kind of weird to say because most of the time I don't know what they're talking about sometimes. Like Frenemies, for example. I love those podcasts. I love Ethan and Trisha's chemistry together, but I really wasn't a fan whenever they got into actual YouTube drama just because I wasn't updated on it and I had no clue what the heck they're talking about. They would always talk about David Dobrik, freaking, Jeffree Star, Gabby Hanna, all those people, Jeff Wittix. I don't know who those guys are. I genuinely don't. I know a little bit about Jeffree Star, David Dobrik, but not the other guys. I really have no clue. So that's why I like podcasts that really just talk about stuff that I'm into. For example, the Shane Dawson podcast, which talks about conspiracy theories a lot. And some of them are kind of old ones. Some of them aren't that good. Some of them are whatever. But it reminded me how much I loved conspiracy theories back in the day. And I would love conspiracy theories so much where I would always try to look up conspiracy theories about a fandom that I'm in. When I was really avidly in the Glee fandom, I still am, but it was when I was the peak of the Glee fandom, where I would always look up Glee stuff, always look up the actors, watch episodes on repeat. It was a big thing. But I would always look up Glee conspiracy theories. Maybe I'll make a video about that, Glee conspiracy theories I thought of over the years, because some of them are kind of weird, some of them make no sense, some of them are kind of creepy, and some of them actually do make a lot of sense. So that was the thing. And the same thing for Grey's Anatomy. There is a lot of theories about Grey's Anatomy, especially because the show is still going on. So there's lots of conspiracy theories on how the show is going to end. And I could also make a whole entire video just on that alone, on how the show is going to end, because there is so many that the fans have came up with over the years. And there's some theories that make no sense, like how some people think that Derek is still alive and he's being captured by the government or something. I don't know. I don't know what that's all about. But so I decided to go into our childhood a little bit. And I'm going to be talking about really popular, or the most popular I could find, of How to Train Your Dragon conspiracy theories. And that's kind of difficult because there wasn't, not to be mean to lots of people, but there wasn't the best theories. I tried to find the best ones out of the big group that I seen. So it was pretty tricky. It was pretty difficult to find these. And some of them were ones that I kind of made up. I wish I had the sources on where I found these theories, but I literally checked everywhere for these theories. I went on TikTok, Tumblr even, who uses Tumblr? Twitter, YouTube, I looked at everything, just Google in general, to try to find all of the conspiracy theories. And I think I've wrapped up the best ones, so I'm going to be sharing them with you, and I'm also going to be talking about if I believe them, maybe elaborating on them. Let's just have a fun sit-down talk about some How to Dragon conspiracy theories. So let's grab a snack and get started. The first one is that Drago's cape in the second film is made out of Nightfury's skin. So this one is kind of unusual to me. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. I won't deny that. But I feel like it would be more accurate if it was like Grimmel's cape or something, because we know that he's like the Nightfury killer. Drago never said that he encountered any Nightfuries unless he happened to have bumped into Grimmel back in the day. But we don't know if that's true. But again, it does look really similar. I mean, his cape does look really similar to Nightfury's scales. But I don't know, I'm kind of up in the air about this one. So this one is a really popular one, and this one's actually kind of sad, but I don't even know if it counts as a theory, to be honest. But it's the theory where Toothless only befriended Hiccup because he realized he couldn't fly without him. This one is kind of confused. I mean, I don't know. So honestly, if I'm being completely honest, I feel like, yes, I feel like that is how it began. I feel like at first he was obviously skeptical of Hiccup because he know that humans and dragons aren't that, friends. They don't really like each other. So I feel like he definitely was kind of weary with him. But eventually I think he got a little more trust to kind of find out what Hiccup's intentions were and what his plans were. But, I feel like once his mortal instinct kicked in, once Hiccup was in danger, and I feel like that kind of still made him have trust for him. I feel like he didn't actually get a complete bond with Hiccup until the end of the first film, because that's when Hiccup lost a leg, Toothless lost a tail fin, and they were almost connected through that. So I felt like that's when Toothless kind of realized that he had this bond with Hiccup that he never had with anyone else. That includes dragons or humans. So I feel like that theory is semi-true. I feel like he didn't like him that much at first, but I definitely think it grew into something. That would be really sad if it didn't. Okay, so this theory is also really popular, and I don't even know if it was really a theory, but Dagur is gay. So I won't go into this one too much, because I know this one makes a lot of people mad. But I heard that I think the creator confirmed that this is actually true. But if that, him confirming that is true aside, I never got that feeling with Dagur ever watching the movies or the shows. I mean, I feel like I heard the main thing that people always say about this part is in the second film when he says,
"This is why I never married. This and one other reason."
She knows. She knows.
And people said that that's him confirming that he's gay, but I never understood that. Was that supposed to be a homophobic joke because in the Viking ages, gay wasn't a thing? So it was kind of saying oh, he can't get married because he can't marry a dude. I don't know if that's what they meant, but I generally did not get that vibe. Obviously, when I first saw the second movie, I didn't, I was really young, so I didn't, think of that. It went over my head. And as I got older, I still don't really think of it as anything. I don't know. I still don't know if he means that. I still don't get those vibes. And then people also later thought of it in the Homecoming, and Hatcher Dragon Homecoming, the way that Dagur was acting with Stoic, kind of talking about memories with him. And again, I'm not being homophobic, obviously. If Dagur's gay, sure, fine. But I never got that vibe. People keep saying that he had a crush on Stoic. I don't think that was the case. I really don't think that was. I think he just had a really good bromance with him, and he was best friends with him, almost brothers. I feel like that's all it was, honestly, from my perspective. But again, people have different opinions. So apparently this one was confirmed, but watching the franchise, I didn't really get those vibes from him. So this is another one that I'm probably not going to go too far into because I feel kind of weird talking about it. But there's another theory that Hiccup is autistic. And again, I'm not autistic, so I really shouldn't be really talking. If I think he is, think he's not. But I've seen lots of video essays about this topic, and lots of them talk about certain traits that he has, hyperfixating on things, his again, these are what people say, so it's not me just saying random things that might be wrong with him. But some people say, oh yeah, and also because he doesn't know when to shut up. I think that was something people said, and I'm like, okay. And I think him being kind of awkward, him being extremely smart, him again, hyperfixating on things, him wanting to be alone, stuff like that. So I guess there's some theories, and again, I wouldn't be surprised if the creators confirmed this or something, I wouldn't be like, oh my god, really? Like, I never, like, you know, but again, it's a theory, and again, it could be true. Who knows? Maybe that was the creators' intentions. Who knows if that was their intention? But yeah, I don't know. I mean, again, it's up in the air with it. So I feel like this is another really popular theory, but there's a theory that the Bewilderbeast egg that Hiccup saved at the end of the Race to the Edge was the one that Valka actually took back to her cave. Again, this one is kind of a weird one because I thought it was almost confirmed at one point, but I feel like the timelines don't really match up because I think from the end of Race to the Edge to How to Dragon 2, it was only like a few months, yet the Bewilderbeast was already full grown by the time we see them in the second film. And I also believe that Valka said that she's been with this Bewilderbeast for like 20 years, as long as she's been there. So yeah, I personally don't believe this one unless I'm missing some facts, unless I got that whole thing I just said wrong, which, you know, it could be. So yeah, this one, I don't know if I believe. This one is kind of a funny one, but there's a theory that a Lightfury appeared and gifted a Nightfury. So I think it was the really quick segment. I'll try to put it here if I could. But I think it was a really quick segment where they show the Dragon Island where all the dragons lay their eggs. And then you kind of see what looks like a Nightfury kind of flying across the screen for a second. And this one, again, I don't know if I believe it or not, but like, we know that there's more than one Lightfury. We saw that in the Hidden World, so that's already been confirmed. But I think it's just a natter. I think what we see across the screen is a natter if you like zoom really close to it. So again, this one I don't think I believe because I don't think Lightfuries were even like created or gifted the Nightfury time. I think the creators literally just came up with it for the third movie because they were debating making like another Nightfury, but they decided to make just another Lightfury instead. Yeah, I don't know. This one I'm not too sure I believe. So this one is also a really popular one, I feel like, but people think that Astrid was actually pregnant during her wedding at the end of How to Dragon 3. And the reason people believe this is because if you zoom in to her on her wedding day, she has the slightest bump in her stomach, like the slightest thing. And people think that she could have been like just pregnant or something. But so I don't believe this for two reasons. Mainly because, well, you see, when she's wearing her outfit that we usually see her in, like throughout the entire franchise, she's always wearing that like armored skirt pretty much. It's always high-waisted. So like it's blocking like the lower region of her stomach, because the lower region of your stomach is where you kind of have like, most people at least, have like at least a slightest little bump. Like most people probably have that unless you're like really thin. But I mean, she's really thin. Who am I kidding? But you know, most like bodies have that, even if you're really thin. But yeah, but she wears like a high-waisted skirt, so we can't really see that like curvature, I guess, in like her lower region. But like in the How to Dragon 3, the wedding, is the first time we actually see her like not in that skirt and she's wearing an actual dress, like kind of a slim hugging dress. So we get to see like more of her body, and so we kind of see a tiny lump in her stomach, which is like, okay. I mean, kudos for like DreamWorks making a semi-realistic body type instead of just making them like abnormally small like some Disney princesses. Another reason I don't believe it is also because like I don't think the timelines match up, because I think Zephyr was like 8 by the time Homecoming was, and I think Nothing was about 5. So I don't think it matches up, because I think at that point, I think they got married when they were like 21. Not 21, like 22, I think. I think it was shortly after. And then like it took series 11 years after, so the timeline won't match up. So unless she had a miscarriage. That's probably another theory, that she had a miscarriage, which I'm not laughing at that. Like, that's obviously not funny. That's sad. But that's just another really in-depth theory I think people come up with. It's not on the list, but I think it is a theory that other people have also came up with. But again, I don't know if I believe it. I mean, it's a fun theory, but again, I don't know. I feel like in dragon times, you're like forbidden to sleep with each other before the marriage. Like, keeping it real. So the next one, I don't even know how to really like elaborate on it, but they have a theory that like the hidden world is actually the entrance to the Bermuda Triangle. Now look, so I feel like this one is already kind of debunked because I believe that the Bermuda Triangle is right underneath Florida. But the entirety of Hydrogen Dragon takes place in Norway, I believe. If we're going into modern times, I believe it's like Norway, Sweden, Ireland, like around that kind of area, which is definitely not near Florida. So I feel like that theory is already kind of debunked. I just thought I might share it because I thought it was kind of interesting, because still to this day, lots of people don't exactly know like the history behind the Bermuda Triangle. And I don't really either. Some people just think ships just magically disappear in the Bermuda Triangle. Who knows? Maybe they actually go into the hidden world. So the next theory is those type of theories that actually make me uncomfortable, and it really makes me like rethink my life. So people think that the entire franchise takes place in Hiccup's head because he's in a coma by the end of the first movie. I hate these theories. I freaking can't stand them. I hate them because they freaking make my head explode. Just imagine if this entire movie was from Hiccup's head, from a coma. What? Like, so the whole thing's fake. So like, he never met his mom. He never got married. He never had kids. He never done anything like this. He never got to see how the village turned out because of the sacrifices he made in the first movie. We never seen any of it. It's all fake. So obviously I don't believe this one, not just because I don't want to believe it, but just because I don't think that's the writer's intention. And I feel like that's people's theories for lots of things. Like there's like, but like I remember there's like this really bizarre Friends theory that the entire show is from Phoebe's head because she like, I don't know, she wanted to picture herself being with like the main friends. And there's also a theory that Meredith from Grey's Anatomy is in a coma this entire show, mind you, 20 seasons long. This entire show from season 2 when she almost drowned and like almost died. I hate these theories. They freaking make my head hurt. So, no. I generally feel like he's not in a coma. He actually woke up and lost his leg. Let's just say that. So, the next theory is a lot. It's a freaking lot. And it actually kind of makes my head hurt, and it's gonna make me cry. Remember the theory I just told you about Friends? Like the Friends theory about Phoebe's picturing it all in her head? Yeah, it's like that. There's a theory that Hiccup died at the end of the first movie, and the entire franchise takes place in Astrid's head because she can't cope with the loss of losing Hiccup. So she pictures that they're all dragon riders and that he's the leader with Toothless, and that's why she's really protective of him in the franchise. That's why she kind of hates everyone else but Hiccup, because she knows that he's the glue that keeps them all together. And she does this to cope with the loss of him because she can't deal that he's dead. What the hell? Like, seriously, what the hell? What kind of theory is that? Okay, no shade to anyone who made this theory, but like, why though? Why? So you're telling me that like the entire franchise is talking to no one? She's schizophrenic or something? Like the entire, like, so what, the end of the movie? She's marrying no one up there? Everyone's watching her get married to no one? What? So again, obviously I don't believe this one, because this one just really far-fetched and it's so depressing. And also, if I'm being completely honest, by the end of the first movie, sure, Astrid did very much like Hiccup. She very much respected him. She appreciated him. But I don't think she was that close to him where she didn't know how to cope with his loss after like many, many years after his death. I feel like the dad might be like that because not only was that his only son, but also because he kind of disowned him right before. And sure, he apologized right before he died, but still, he felt bad for ignoring him all this time. So, yeah, I feel like that definitely makes more sense for Stoic, but not really for Astrid, and that is just way too depressing for me. So we're moving on to the next one. Okay, this next one freaking cracks me up. I died when I first heard this theory, and I'm probably gonna start dying again. So people think that dude from Brave who tried to marry Merida by shooting a bow and arrow, but he couldn't do it right or something, that guy is Grimmel the Grizzly. That's the same guy. That is so trippy. First of all, they look the same. I'll just say that. But people think that this is him, and he eventually maybe got angry because people always bullied him when he was younger for being a little different, and eventually he learned more combat skills. He learned how to shoot. That's why you see him shoot like perfectly in HTTYD Dragon 3. So he turned his life back together and turned completely evil because of it. And bullying kind of made him into the guy he became. So yeah, I'm not gonna lie, this theory freaking makes me laugh so hard. This is another one where I don't know if people actually believe this theory or people just are making jokes about it, like I'm doing. I freaking love this theory. But no, I also don't believe this theory. But again, it's one of those fun things where it's fun to think about. I feel like people also compare them because they both take place in like like they're both Scottish, I guess. So I guess it kind of takes place in the same realm, and again, they look really similar. I just thought this theory was really funny, and I had to include it because, again, it was just really funny. I feel like this one is like almost confirmed at this point, but lots of people, this is also a 9 realms theory. So if you guys, watch the 9 realms, then you could like, you know what I mean by this. So yeah, there's a theory that Buzzsaw from Dragons of the 9 Realms is a descendant of Dagur. And I really don't think this is that far off. But again, I don't know. I mean, we have no evidence. Like, in the 9 Realms, we have evidence that Tom is a descendant of Hiccup. But we have no evidence that Dagur is a descendant, or Buzzsaw is a descendant of Dagur. But again, I feel like, no shade to the 9 Realms writers, but I feel like they just designed Buzzsaw based off of Dagur. Like, honestly, because like, for Tom, for instance, he has some kind of like resemblance of Hiccup when it comes to like, I don't know, his mind, I guess. I don't know, even though that's so many generations down. Like, it's kind of weird. But yeah, I really don't, like, at least for Tom, it's like he's not like an exact copy and paste of Hiccup, because that would make sense since it's like 1,000 years later from the original franchise. So yeah, I generally don't feel like they did that on purpose, obviously, to make him like an exact copy and paste. But for Buzzsaw, he basically is kind of like a copy and paste of Dagur. You can definitely tell that they inspired Buzzsaw off of Dagur. So it's hard to say if they just wanted him to be inspired by Dagur because, they kind of wanted a crazy dude to be the villain of the show, or he is a descendant of Dagur. So for this one, I'll believe. I believe this one. I won't be too surprised. I mean, small world that they're like feuding together. Small world indeed. But I would say I believe this one. So this one is also really funny. Gonna do some lighthearted ones as well. So in the episode Snotlout's Angels, there was a part in the beginning where Snotlout and Astrid get into a huge fight. And we're going to see them yelling at each other and everyone's kind of going back. But all of a sudden you hear Astrid scream,
Did you really just say that to me?
Yes, please don't hit me.
We never, for the entire episode, we never heard what Snotlout said, like for the entirety of the episode. And everyone would be asking Snotlout, like, what did you say? And Snotlout will tell them in secret, of course. And then they would all be like, yeah, that's not good.
What did you say to her? Yeah, right. You did not say that.
Okay, this could be a problem. You said what? Are you insane?
So it's always been a big conspiracy theory in the fandom on what exactly Snotlout said to Astrid to make her so angry. Especially because she was freaking pissed. She was like more angry than we've probably ever seen her in the entire franchise, which says a lot. And of course, there's some small theories where some people think that like, oh, he made fun of Hiccup or something like that, and she got overprotective, which I don't think it has anything to do with Hiccup, to be honest. Mainly because when Hiccup found out what Snotlout said, his reaction didn't really match. Like, I feel like if he said something about Hiccup, he wouldn't be like, yeah, that's not good. I feel like Hiccup would be kind of confused why she got so pissed at that. He'd probably be like, that's it. Why is he getting so pissed? Snotlout freaking makes fun of me all the time. So I feel like that's generally not right. Especially because I think the voice actor, not confirmed, but he kind of said what he thought Snotlout might have said. And I think he agreed that it could have been something about Hiccup. But here's a theory. Falling into the theory. So the theory is that he basically just asked her if she's on her period. I love this theory. I honestly love it. Because I 100% believe this theory for a few reasons. Mainly because that's the reason we never heard what she said. Or he said. That's the reason we never heard what he said. Because they can't say that on a kid's show. So that's the reason people keep whispering about each other. And I always thought it had to do with something either about her or her family. I didn't think it had anything to do with Hiccup or anything like really sappy or whatever. I felt like it had to do with her or her family. And they were already getting into a fight before he said what he said. They were already yelling at each other. But that was the one thing that kind of blew her over the edge. And I feel like that happens to a lot of girls whenever their boyfriend just accused them of being on their period. And lots of girls hate that, especially a feminist like Astrid would hate that. It's just because he whispers it to them and they all reacted the same way, being like, yeah, that's not good. So those are a few reasons why I definitely believe this theory. And when you just listen to it now, like if you just watch that scene of them all getting pissed, like it's so clear. Like if you literally just picture him saying that, it all makes sense. Like it honestly does. So, theory, believed. Okay, so this is the last theory I'll be talking about. This is the last one I could really find, and I feel like this one is generally really popular. And it might be true, and I'm not that happy about it. But it also has to do with the 9 Realms. So I'm sorry we haven't watched the 9 Realms. But it has to do with that situation. So there's a really popular theory that a part that we don't see in the original Hydra Dragon franchise is that people believe that years later, Hiccup, Astrid, and their family leaves New Berk and they go to live in the hidden world with the other dragons. And that's why we see all those things that we see in, the hidden world. We see the Book of Dragons, we see the cave drawing, we see Hiccup's leg, we see like all of this stuff. And yeah, I feel like, but here's where the theory gets dark. Not only do people think that they moved down there because of that, but people also think that they got eaten by feral dragons and they all died. They all died. Yikes. So people think they all died by being eaten by freaking dragons. Yeah, dragons. And let me just say, I don't want to believe this theory. I really don't. And also too, side note, the reason people think that they got eaten by dragons is because they've been down there for so long at that point that lots of them like couldn't really be trained anymore. You know, Hiccup always tries to train them, so it got to a point where he couldn't train them anymore because they got so feral. Because even before Hiccup trained them, they still coexist in the same world as humans, so they still were like knew how to behave in a way. But in the hidden world, they're all feral beasts pretty much. They couldn't be trained. So that's why people think that they just kind of got control and they killed them or something. I don't know about eating, because that seems kind of like bizarre, but they at least killed them or something. And again, I don't know about the last part of the theory that they killed them necessarily. And I really hate to say this, but because of the 9 realms, it does seem like they did go back to the hidden world, because it would only make sense why everything was down there. Like, why was it down there? Why the hell was everything down there? Okay, first of all, the cave drawing itself, that's weird. There's another theory, that Toothless was the one who drew that cave drawing, which, I mean, he's freaking Picasso if he could draw that with his freaking mouth. Like, are you kidding me? So sure, if that's true, fine. And the Book of Dragons, who knows? Maybe he just like, they just went down there for a second to leave it. Almost like, you know, a time capsule sort of thing. They left it down for people who happen to discover the hidden world. Fine. But Hiccup's leg. Hiccup's goddamn leg. What? Like, how did that leg get there? Unless he left his leg behind. But even then, how the heck? And that's why people think he got killed or something like that, because his leg is literally in the middle of nowhere. How the hell is his leg down there? And not only that, but like, when you see that scene, when I'm going down to the cave drawing, you see like a table and some like things everywhere. Why is all that things there? A dragon isn't going to use that table, only a human will. But guys, I hate this theory, but because of the 9 realms, it does seem kind of likely. But I swear to God, I have given the Hydrogen Dragon fandom so much, like, I give them so much credit for so much stuff. I was like, you know what? Hydrogen Dragon is the one franchise that hasn't been milked. It hasn't jumped the shark yet. Like Hydrogen Dragon 1, great. Second movie, cool. Third, good. Defenders of Berk, Riders of Berk, great. The specials, pretty good, yeah. Race to the Edge, really great, amazing. And then they just had to throw us with Dragons and 9 Realms. They had to shove that in our faces. We did not ask for this. We did not ask for that show. We did not ask for newbies. And it would have been fine if it kind of been like, oh, Descendants, okay, whatever, cool. But the fact that they're bringing the old characters back into the show in their own sneaky little way, and then they're changing the story through these people's stories. They're changing the stories as we know it. Especially because they also talked about Hiccup's resting place, and everyone thought it was going to be like a burial, which I'm so glad it wasn't a burial. But people thought it was going to be a burial. Instead, it was his actual resting place, like where he actually just chilled and hung out. Who writes that down? A place where you freaking chill. What? Who cares where he freaking chilled? And that's of course in the show. So that proves further that he's been down to the hill world and he freaking chills there. That he freaking lives down there. Why are they telling us this story through their eyes? Through these people's stories? We do not care. We do not care about their story. We care about the story that supposedly was supposed to be closed. Like, Hydrogen Dragon 3 and Hydrogen Dragon Homecoming was the closing of their story. But now this show comes along, and if they have new stories, fine. New writers, fine. That's cool. But they have to keep bringing up stories from the original people as if their story didn't end, and almost ruining it by Hiccup making his moral decision to leave the dragons and go back to his village without them. To be a brave decision. But then all of a sudden they're telling us that isn't what happened. You're telling us that no, he just freaking left his island that he was chief of to go into the hidden world with a whole bunch of wild dragons with his family. Are you kidding me? What? That freaking makes no sense to me, and I'm outraged. So if you want to know if I believe in that theory or not, I say I'm half a half. I don't want to believe in the theory, but it unfortunately seems pretty logical. I'm sorry that I just went onto a tangent just now, but it was bottled inside me for so long. It really was. Well, those are all the theories I have for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I am very much into theories, as you guys can tell. So if you guys want me to do any other videos, Hatcher Dragon related, Glee, Grey's Anatomy, or other theories from those fandoms, let me know, and I'll definitely try to make a video as best as I can. So I guess I'll see you later, Dragon Riders. I'll see you next time. Bye.